Good morning. I am here in the press gallery of the Parliament of Canada, the heart of our democratic engagement with people. And this morning I offer my deep concern, solidarity, and prayers with the people of California who are out in the streets unarmed defending the rule of law against illegal kidnapping and deportation, and they're being faced down by the military might of the United States Marines. We're not talking about creeping fascism here. This is full-on police state tyranny from the gangster president Donald Trump. And this is the man who will soon be crossing our border to attend the G7 meetings in Canada. I have received hundreds of messages of concern and outrage from Canadians that a convicted felon, sexual predator, and a man who has threatened our nation's sovereignty is being allowed into our country. I understand the Prime Minister Carney's reluctance to escalate the situation with the MAGA president. But we have to stop kidding ourselves, and we have to be very honest about what we are being asked to engage with. Donald Trump poses a clear threat to American democracy, to Canadian sovereignty, and to the international rule of law. And this morning, I will lay out a straightforward indictment of Donald Trump's threats, not just to his own people and not just to Canada, but to the international rule of law. Since November 2024, Donald Trump has made over 100 attacks on Canada. And yet when it comes to the war criminal Vladimir Putin, Trump has said almost nothing except to defend, to explain, to write off the crimes of the Putin regime. He is doing this at the clear expense of the American people and the Western allies. He continually promotes Vladimir Putin while attacking President Zelensky, the people of Ukraine, and the people of Canada. We remember that when Vladimir Putin launched his murderous invasion of Ukraine, Donald Trump declared Mr. Putin a savvy genius. And he said that the arbitrary seizure of Ukrainian territory was, quote, wonderful. Trump refuses to denounce the murderous bombing of the cities of Ukraine, and he has falsely accused President Zelensky of having started the war. Trump has put the security of our European allies at risk to the benefit of Russia. He continually as well undermines American domestic security. When Russia launched cyber attacks on the United States, Trump downplayed the threat and put the blame on the, quote, lamestream media. Russia interfered with the United States election, which may have helped Trump get elected in 2016, and yet Trump has blocked investigations into the foreign interference. And yet Donald Trump has been more than willing to vilify Canadians. Earlier this year, Pete Navarro pushed to have Canada kicked out of the Five Eyes intelligence network. Canada plays a key role in the Five Eyes, helping keep Americans safe. It's a job that we do as an ally and a neighbor. But MAGA has turned Canada into their #1 enemy, with recent bogus claims from Kash Patel about terrorists from Canada flooding over the border. So let's compare those falsehoods with how Trump deals with the threats from Russia. This past March, the United States ordered the U.S. Cyber Command to suspend operations against Russia. The United States shut down efforts to counter Russian sabotage. Attorney General Pam Bondi blocked the FBI's Foreign Interference Task Force, which leaves the United States wide open to secret influence campaigns by Russia, China, and other dark actors. You got to ask yourself, is Donald Trump loyal to the people of the United States who elected him, or to Vladimir Putin's undermining of the international rule of law? Just this past February, President Trump said he wanted Russia reinstated into the G7, and he falsely blamed Canada for having Russia been kicked out. Russia was expelled from the G8 then for illegally invading Ukrainian territory. In February, Trump opposed a European resolution condemning Moscow's actions against Ukraine. In opposing this vote on defending Ukraine's territorial sovereignty, the United States voted with the gangster regimes of Russia, Belarus, and North Korea. Trump rejected Canada's proposal on tackling Russian shadow fleet of oil tankers that are being used to undermine sanctions. In February, the United States vetoed Canada's proposal to establish a task force to monitor sanction breaches by Russia. The Attorney General has disbanded the program aimed at seizing assets of Russian oligarchs. Now, we know that Donald Trump, who is a convicted criminal, has been more than willing to aid and abet international war criminals. Vladimir Putin, like Benjamin Netanyahu, has bombed hospitals. Vladimir Putin, like Netanyahu, has targeted schools. Trump has said nothing about this. Vladimir Putin has kidnapped over 19,000 Ukrainian children, and in March 2023, the International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant for Vladimir Putin over the unlawful deportation and transfer of children. And yet, as soon as he came to power, Donald Trump cut funding for the Yale program that was tracking Ukrainian children who'd been kidnapped from their families and forced into Russia. In March 2025, Russian lawmaker Andrei Kartapolov called for the United States to stop sharing Ukraine with intelligence. And following that, Donald Trump obediently cut intelligence sharing that led to a series of Russian strikes in Ukrainian cities. And Trump has defended Putin's attacks on Ukrainian civilians. And he says that Putin is easier to deal with than the people of Ukraine. Let's just talk for a minute about the tariff war. Trump has launched massive tariffs against Canada, Mexico, and Europe, his key allies. He has claimed that his tariff war in Canada will force us as a nation to break and beg to be his vassal state. On top of that, he's targeted 150 countries, including countries as small as Madagascar, Rwanda, St. Helena, Liechtenstein, Senegal. And yet he's not imposed any sanctions or tariffs on Russia. He falsely claims there is no trade with Russia. In fact, there's $3.5 billion in Russian trade that has been exempted from tariffs, and Trump says he wants more trade with Russia. He says this as he attacks Canada's manufacturing, steel, agricultural, entertainment industries. Canada can no longer view the United States as an ally. We know that Donald Trump doesn't believe in liberal democracy. He doesn't believe in the rule of law. Canada is an open and inclusive society. Little wonder that Donald Trump has denounced our nation as one of the nastiest countries he's ever had to deal with. And we'd be fools to pretend that his threat to, quote, get rid of the border by using economic force has somehow abated. We can't kid ourselves about the threat that's being posed by Donald Trump. Prime Minister Mark Carney is not inviting our nearest neighbor and friendly ally to join us in the G7. Prime Minister Carney is not inviting the leader of the free world to Canada. He is welcoming in Vladimir Putin's sock puppet, who will have the best seat in the key negotiations with the G6. Donald Trump will be there as we attempt to negotiate a deal in a dark new world. And we know that Donald Trump is there to undermine us at every step of the way. Canada must be focused on containing this clear and present danger to our nation and the rule of law. We must stand with the people of Ukraine and our allies who believe in the democratic order. The Prime Minister must state boldly that he will stand up against any attempts to interfere in Canada and to undermine through academia or through American corporations that are in Canada any DEI measures that are in Canada, because Canada is a nation of diversity, equity, and inclusion. This is what makes Canada a light in this new dark age of gangster regimes. And Trump is the gangster. I urge Canadians to keep the boycott strong. I urge the Prime Minister to work with us and work with our allies and send a very clear message that we will not support in any way the rise of an authoritarian regime south of the border that is using the military against its own people. Canada at this point is holding the line, but we must remain true, north, strong, and free. Thank you.